Today, I will be teaching you how to create a poison gameplay effect using the gameplay ability system. At the end of this video, you should be able to better understand the concepts of GAS, or gameplay ability system, and how to use both gameplay effects and attributes to create interesting gameplay mechanics. So, let's get into it. So first, let's understand what exactly is GAS. The gameplay ability system, or GAS, is a plugin on Unreal that allows programmers and designers to create very interesting and complex gameplay mechanics in a very useful and easy to use framework. In GAS, we have attributes. These are values, simple floats. For instance, we have health, we can have mana, we can have stamina, things like this. If it's a number, you're going to store it in an attribute. Then we have what we call gameplay effects, or GAs. Gameplay effects are what you're going to use to modify those attributes. And then finally, we have gameplay abilities, GAs. These are going to be the behavior that decides when to apply those gameplay effects. With these three components together, we can create tons of complex behavior. In this particular video, we are going to use both attributes and gameplay effects. So let's get into it. Okay, we're in Unreal now. This video assumes that you have a character that has an ability system component. If you don't know how to set up the gameplay ability system, you can watch one of my other videos in which I explain exactly how to do that. Or you can use the Lyra starter project from Epic, which already comes with the gameplay ability system setup. Once you have a character with its attribute setups, what you're going to do is you're going to create a gameplay effect. To do that, you're going to go to the content browser and you can open it by pressing Ctrl and space or Command space in Mac, and right click, new blueprint class, and then come here in all classes, you can open it if it's folded down, and search for gameplay effect. You can scroll down, and once you have selected, click select. Now, you're going to name the gameplay effect. For gameplay effects, I recommend starting with G underscore what you want. In this case, G underscore poison effect. This is going to be our gameplay effect. Double click to open it. You will see that the moment that you open it, as it's a blueprint class, it opens with the blueprint graph window. But what we want to do is close it, Control space, and open it again. As this is a data-only blueprint, you then will be able to see things much more clearly, as gameplay effects don't need the use of the blueprint graph. Now we have the effect, but what can we do with it? So first, let's understand how effects works. The most important property of gameplay effects is the duration policy, which can be instant, infinite, or has duration. Instant is for immediate effects. Think about things like taking damage, recovering stamina. It will have a permanent effect on your attribute. So if I'm at 100 health and I apply an effect that removes 10 health, now that health is at 90. Has duration is for effects that, as the name implies, has a duration. Think about as increasing my defense by 30% during 5 seconds. That will be a has duration effect. And finally, infinite effects last forever. That does not mean that the moment that I apply the effect, now forever I have that attribute modified. What it means is that you control when you're going to remove. So if an armor grants you an effect like plus 20% health, that can be infinite because it's going to be removed not after 5 seconds or after 10 seconds. It's going to be removed when you remove your armor, and then we manually remove the effect. So instant is for permanent modifications, has duration for temporal modifications, and infinite for temporal that do not depend on time, but depend on other things. In this case, our effect, the poison effect, is a has duration effect because we don't want to poison the character forever. We want to poison the character during, let's say, 5 seconds. This is where the magnitude comes. You will see that the moment that we have modified the effect to has duration, a new property has appeared, duration magnitude. This is the duration in seconds. As you can see, we have other properties because we can make the duration be based on other attributes or on other things, but for now, let's keep it at 5. And then we have a period. If this was a buff, like plus 30% armor, then we will leave this as it is. But a poison effect is an effect that ticks. That means that during those 5 seconds, every half second, it's gonna apply the damage. So in this case, this effect will be applied 10 times per second, 10 times in total. Okay, so we have a hash duration effect that lasts 5 seconds, and every half second does something. But if we leave it at this, right now this does absolutely nothing, because we need to come to the modifiers. We actually want to modify attributes. If you remember, we have attributes like health, and then we have gameplay effects that modify those attributes. So let's create a modifier. Simply click the plus symbol, expand it, and first we are going to select the attribute. In this case, I'm going to search for health. If you use Lyra, you will see that this name is different, but in the end, the Lyra characters also have a health attribute. And if you have set up gas by yourself, then you can select whatever attribute you want. Okay, so we're going to take the attribute health, we're going to add to it, and I know that even though poison should do damage, why are we adding? Because in the modifier magnitude, we are going to add a negative value. So we're going to add -5 health. And in reality, that's it. That's all we need for our effect to work. But that's only part of the equation. How do we actually apply the effect? To do that, we can do it in many ways, but for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply go to the level blueprint. I'm going to get the player character. You can right click and start writing get player character. Then from the player character, I'm going to write get ability system component. This is the way that we interact with gas, with the ability system component. And from here, I'm going to do apply gameplay effect to self. For now, don't worry about all the functions. We'll see what those all mean. And finally, we want to select our effect. To do this, we can do it multiple ways. You can click Control Space, copy the name or search it, and then paste it here. Or one thing that I like is simply select it in the content browser and then assign it via this arrow. Finally, we need to say when do we apply the effect. For instance, we can say when the key 1 is pressed on the keyboard, I'm gonna apply the effect. If you want, we can add a comment. To do that, we select these blocks, press C, and write apply the effect when the key 1 is pressed, and click compile. Then, now if we hit play, this is our character, and we press the 1 button, the effect is applied. But you're gonna tell me we can see nothing. That's because right now we have no display of health. We could create complex UI, we could try to display the health in many ways, but in Gas, a quick way to test out things is using console commands. For that, you're gonna open the console via this key, tilde key, or you can write here in the console, and what we're gonna do is ability system dot debug attribute, and in this case, the name of the attribute, health, and press enter. You see that right now it's at 945. If I press the 1 key, you will see that it starts going down. This is due to our poison effect. And after 5 seconds, the effect is gone. So as you can see, this is working. But of course, it's a little underwhelming. That's when gameplay cues come in. I said that the gameplay ability has attributes, gameplay effects, and gameplay abilities. But there's one extra piece of the puzzle, which are the gameplay cues, which will allow you to display the side effects of things. And when I say side effects, I mean visual effects, sound effects, camera shakes, all that kind of stuff. Let's create a gameplay cue for our gameplay effect. To do that, go to your content and create a new folder, call it gameplay cues. And inside there, right click, blueprint class, search for gameplay cue, and we're gonna use a gameplay cue notify static burst. There are many different types of gameplay cues. For now, simply use this. We're gonna call it GC Poison Burst, and now I'm gonna open it. The same way with the gameplay effects, close it and open it again to see the data only setup. So, the way that gameplay cues work is that you do not reference them directly. Instead, you select a tag to them. And if you want to learn more about gameplay tags, you can also watch another video that I have that will explain gameplay tags to you. But in short, there are names that work in a hierarchical way. In this case, I'm going to select a gameplay cue, temp, poison. And in the burst effects, I'm going to add a particle. In this case, let's say a poison particle. And maybe I'm going to also add a camera shake. I'm going to compile. And one useful thing is in this dropdown, save on compile, set it to on success. That way, instead of compiling and save, the same time that you hit compile, it's gonna autosave. Then I'm gonna go back to my poison effect. If you don't have it open, search it back. And if you scroll down, you see that gameplay effects also have a gameplay queue section. You can add a new gameplay queue and open it. And in here, you're gonna select that same tag. So in this case, it was the poison tag. Now, if we hit play and press 1, the gameplay queue the first time is gonna take some time to load. But after that, you're gonna see that we'll start seeing things. So after compiling shaders, I press 1 again, and I see the effect. It's ticking. Every time it ticks, that gameplay queue is being run, and I'm seeing the side effects. As you can see, this is incredibly powerful because designers or programmers can create their effects, assign potential queues to them that are not yet implemented, and then later, artists or content creators can come, create those gameplay queues linked by the tag, add all the visual flair to it, and everything will work without the need to then a programmer coming or a designer coming and linking things up. What have we learned? In here, you have seen that in Gas, we can have gameplay effects, modifying attributes. To do this, we can use instant, we can use hash duration, or we can use infinite effects. These effects can have gameplay cues for their visuals. And with all this together, we can create things like poison effects. Of course, now it's up to you to see what else you can create. Because the same way that this effect is a poison effect, the moment that I simply change this value to a 10, for instance, now suddenly I have a healing over time effect. As you can see, this is incredibly scalable. Suddenly, if I hit, say this is instant, and I simply set this at -50, then I have an effect that I apply and this deals instantaneous damage. So, as you can see, Gas is incredibly powerful. So now it's up to you to decide what you want to create.